Hey, welcome back. Thanks for checking out this video. Hope you're having a fantastic day. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Indiana Fever Phoenix Mercury game. This is the post-game presser with Coach Christie Sides after the Fever blew a 31-point lead. Well, I shouldn't say blew a 31-point lead, and that they did win, but it got down to four, I believe. Christie Side says six a couple of times in this, but I believe it got down to four. But either way, 4 or 6, it was pretty bad. There was a 17-0 run in there that ultimately finished up being a 29-4 run to get Phoenix back into the game. Phoenix, who was, by the way, shorthanded. I think they had 7 to start the game, and Griner went out with an injury kind of early, so they played a lot of that game with only 6 players. So we're going to dig into this, see what Christie Sides has to say about this game, and yeah, I've got a few things to say as well. Let's check this out.
I mean, right now, I mean that's incredible, and that just shows like what we're capable of. For me, right now, it's giving up 36 points in 11 minutes. So that's what we've got to figure out. I haven't been here when we've been up 31 points, and when you do that, you have to figure out a way to hold that and just finish the game. And so that is where, as a coach, that's where I'm at. But it's incredible, to have players that can put up those many points and be able to rebound the basketball. But that's where I'm at.
Okay, now the question was not part of the video. This was the very beginning of the video. It sounds like she's being asked about their offense and how well they started. Probably, score 95 points, getting the 31-point lead. That's what it sounds like from her answer. The one thing that really stuck out for me here that was basically a non-answer. I mean, the whole thing was basically a non-answer. Well, what really bothered me was, if you caught it, sort of the subtle excuse for her as a coach as to why they blew this lead. I've never been here when we've been up 31 points before. Are you telling me, as a long time assistant coach, and now your second year as a professional basketball coach at the highest level of the women's game, you don't have any idea what to do when your team is up 31 because you've never been up 31 points before? That is fascinating to me. Now, I just skipped a bunch because all it was is someone set her up to praise Kelsey Mitchell. The question was like, Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston get all the attention, but what about how awesome Kelsey Mitchell is? And of course, she went on to praise her. Now, if you've been listening to me, you will tell me I will say Kelsey Mitchell has a very specific skill set. She can be explosive. She can run the court and get to the rim with a passer like Caitlin Clark in transition. She can get really hot, but she can also be really cold. She's incredibly selfish. If she's not hot, she's a net negative to the team. She's the type of instant scorer that, to me, you should have coming off the bench as a the sixth player, first player off the bench. And I'm going to just show this one play that, to me, kind of sums everything up in terms of Kelsey Mitchell. You see, she's going to. Whoop, where are we? Oh, sorry. I thought I had it back at the beginning. Okay, so she's gonna. I have no problem with this shot. She's wide open. Long rebound. She gets it. Now watch this. Look, as soon as she got it, I'm gonna go back just a little bit because you can see it. As soon as she got it, look where Caitlin Clark is when she gets that rebound. Right? She's there. She's asking for the ball. She's at the 3-point line. The 3 defenders in the lane. The other 2 way over here. Give Caitlin the ball. Right? Give her the ball right now. Dribble all the way by her, dribble all the way through it. Wait, no, I'm going to, oh, wait. This is like that practice with Erica Wheeler, and then I'm going to chuck up the video. I'm going to chuck up the 3-pointer and brick that. I mean, this is insane. By the way, pay attention to Caitlin Clark. I mean, I think with the way she plays, it's going to be okay. But if you had a player with a different type of ego than Caitlin Clark, this would become a serious problem because guess what? Kelsey Mitchell would stop getting the ball in later games because enough's enough. And you can see it. It's hard because the label Caitlin Clark is kind of shrugging her shoulders. She's annoyed by all this. She's just walking away. She's out of the play. She is disgusted, absolutely disgusted with that entire sequence. That's the Kelsey Mitchell that we're praising because of the 28 points she got because she was the recipient of great passes. She had 0 assists. 0 assists. Yeah, she's the shooting guard. She's a guard. She took 19 shots. She had 0 assists. She could have had an easy assist there by just giving that ball to Caitlin Clark. I mean, that was actually much worse than that practice video I did before with the dribbling around. Absolutely crazy. But let's get into this next piece because, again, this is something Christie Sides has a tendency to do. I think it's an absolutely awful trait for a coach. But let's take a listen to her talk about the game here.
Don't go in the back.
Yeah, you mentioned those 36 points in the last 12 minutes. Just what can you take from that to improve for Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, that's our defense. It started with us not handling their zone very well. They went zone.
Okay, first of all, that's our defense, and then she immediately goes to it started with our offense not handling their zone, which is to me kind of like she doesn't really know where she's going with this, but we'll keep going.
And we just kind of we didn't take wide open shots. We were getting wide open shots, we weren't finishing them, and then we weren't getting back and guarding. Like we just couldn't get matched up with who we were supposed to. And then I told him at the end of the third, like, these guys can shoot the basketball. They have the ability to put the ball in the hole. They can get a lot of points. Kalia Copper's an unbelievable player. She made things happen for them. So that's just us being up 31, able to finish out a game the way we should have, and that's just what we need to talk about and figure out.
Okay, wow, there's so much to unpack here. Okay, that entire thing was again, zero accountability for Christie Sides as the head coach as she watches a 31-point lead disintegrate. What does she do? She comes into the press conference and she throws the team under the bus. Bad defense. They didn't take open shots. When they had open shots, they didn't make those open shots. They did a bad job of getting matched up with the player they're supposed to defend against. They didn't seem to have that problem for the first 3 quarters. And then in the timeout or at the end of the third quarter, I told them they can shoot and the Phoenix can score the ball. Really? That's what you told them? You mean all the players didn't know that the other team could actually shoot and score until you told them at the end of the third quarter? Are you kidding with me right now? That is absolutely, absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd. I don't even know where to go with that. But yeah, so that entire thing it was the team's fault. And then her great insightful coaching is, well, I told them that Phoenix can score. They can shoot the basketball. What does that mean? What? Holy. All right, let's go a little more. I don't know how much of this I can take.
Go in the back.
Hey, Coach, this is your last home game in over a month. I know you got your 2-game road trip to cap off before the break actually goes on, but what does it mean for you and for this program to have such passion rally behind this momentum that you're starting to gain?
Yeah,
I think that question is about the fans actually have this passion. I guess what he means is this passionate rally of the fans behind the team. I think that's the question. I don't know if he really worded it exactly the way he wanted.
we're just constantly trying to get better. That's our goal. As a young team in this league, the goal is just to get better. And to when you do things like what we just talked about with letting them score 36 points, like, we've got to figure out how to not let that happen. I mean, we haven't been in this position where we were up 31, but you can't let that kind of lead go. Especially, I mean, they cut it to 6. I mean, that's just unacceptable. So we have to figure out how that happened and not let that happen again.
Wow, wow, wow. Oh my goodness, wow. Again with the excuse of we've never been up 31 points before. And we have to figure out how to not let that happen. I have a few ideas, Christy, if you're interested, that maybe we could talk about. Um, But yeah, we'll let this run a little bit more, Christy, and then we'll dig into this nonsense, okay? I don't want to hurt your feelings too much.
Kelsey.
You said before the game you wanted to see what you saw in that fourth quarter on Wednesday in this game, and you started on such a fast jump. How satisfying was it to come out with a lot of energy?
Yeah, no, that's what I told them. These guys, I told them they were hungry in the fourth, and we had to continue that for these 4 quarters. And I think we really did that for 3, up until like the last 2 minutes of the 3. I think that's where we were. But yeah, I mean that is the energy and focus that you have to have, and you have to sustain that for 40 minutes. Like you can't have the drop offs.
Okay, so again, and we've talked about this before, there is a correlation. Now, look, just because I'm going to talk about them running, and just running is not going to magically make Indiana Fever the best team in the league. It's not always going to be incredibly effective depending on who they're playing. Like just because they're running is not going to make them the best team. They'll still have their struggles. They'll turn the ball over and all that. But they are a much, much, much better team when they run. Last game, I don't understand how a head coach cannot understand this. Last game, they ran in that fourth quarter. It was forget about Christie Sides, forget about what she wants to do. Caitlin Clark's going to just take over the game and she's going to run, and her teammates are on board with that now because of the way she can pass the ball and get them easy buckets in transition. Even their bigs, they're getting easy buckets in transition. That's much better than having to bang in the post in a half court game. But that's what they did in the fourth quarter when they had that huge comeback against the Mystics. They didn't do it for the first 3. In this game, it was the opposite. They scored 81 points in 3 quarters because they ran. Caitlin Clark had a franchise record 7 assists in the first quarter alone. And then what happened? They went half court. That did a couple of things. It took away the Fever's best offense, which is running. It also allowed the other team to play a zone. They played a basic 2-3 zone, and Christie Sides had absolutely no idea how to play against the 2-3 zone. She took Caitlin Clark off of the ball and put it in Erica Wheeler's hands, and we saw how well that went. I think there's one little bit here that I think I wanted to get to. Let me see.
And today we're polar opposites. First 3 quarters good, last one bad, and vice versa. Just kind of like Jekyll and Hyde, even with the questions, feels like what was good and then what was not so good. What do you, I guess, place more value on, and what contributed to both in this game, I guess?
I think our defense in the first 3 quarters, up until the last 2 minutes, I think they went on an 8-0 run just into third. I think our defense, we were following the scouting report. We were doing the defensive schemes that we needed to do. I hate it for BG. I hope she's okay. But we did an excellent job. And then we just didn't do what we were doing for 3 quarters. And then, Washington, we didn't do what we were supposed to do for 3 quarters and then do it for 1 quarter. And we put ourselves in a position to win the game.
All right, this stuff is really starting to piss me off. Like sometimes I think I'm being hard on Christie Sides because she was thrown in a tough position. She'd never been a head coach before until the Indiana Fever. She's there 1 year, and then Caitlin Clark comes in, and you've got all this stuff going on around it. But this stuff is really starting to tick me off with this just nonstop throwing the players under the bus. Throwing the players under the bus. Did you even catch that? She said they were doing the defensive schemes that we wanted them to do that were working. In other words, the coach, I had effective defensive schemes and they were working. And then for some reason, magically, all of a sudden, my players just stopped doing them. And that's when they got into trouble. She's great. The players stink. That's what I know I'm saying that to the extreme, but that's the vibe that this gives. The coach is good, the players are bad. And she talked about, again, she kind of reinforced what I was just saying before that part about the fact that No, in terms of what was good for the offense, like she said, and doing what they should be doing, and they were doing it was the opposite for Christie Sides. She doesn't want to do all that running. She doesn't want to put the ball in Caitlin Clark's hands for 40 minutes and let her do her thing and run the offense. But that's when they're effective. When Christie Sides gets it under control and slows it down. Look, she's. I know. Even though I just said about the lack of experience as a head coach, she is a professional coach. She cannot How she cannot handle a 2-3 zone is beyond me. It really is. Now look, some teams can play a really good zone and they play it well and they match up well with it and it can cause problems for offense, but there was no offense. There was no good ball movement. There were no screens at the top of the zone. There wasn't any post player flashing into the lane at coming near the top of the free throw line, and then maybe also having some dribble penetration. And when the post player flashes into the lane like that toward the free throw line, having a baseline cutter behind that's going to run baseline side to side. It was just a bunch of standing around. I mean, at many points you had Clark wide open on the weak side of the play, and no one's even looking for her. No one's even trying to get the ball over there, whether it's a couple of quick passes and ball movement or if it's a skip pass directly to her, although she might be the only one on the team who can actually throw that pass. They did every single excuse me, every single thing that a 2-3 zone would want an offense to do. That's what the offense did. That's what Christie Sides did. It's absolutely infuriating to listen to her talk like this. Absolutely infuriating. And by the way, I want to show this as well because this is just another example. That this is fascinating. Now you're going to watch this, and this is early in the game, but these are the types of things that happen all the time that the Fever have to fight against constantly. They're not just playing the opponent; they're playing their own coach. Because you watch this, what you're going to see, Clark's going to bring the ball up. She's going to be motioning for Kelsey Mitchell to come set a pick. Christie Sides overrules her, tells Kelsey to stay, and tells Caitlin Clark to pass the ball to Katie Lou, and we'll see what we get out of that. So watch this. Watch Caitlin Clark motioning. Watch Christie Sides on the sideline. Right? No, she's pointing. She wants that back. Look, she's pointing now over to Katie Lou, if you can see it. Caitlin Clark's now got palm up, which is like, why aren't you coming to set the pick I asked for? She's waiting. She's waiting. She's like, okay, here we go. Look, her hands are up again, double hands up again. Like, what? Why is this not being done correctly? What are we doing? Terrible. Now, I will say, and Katie Lou's usually pretty good, but if I go back just a little, this is a really bad exchange, both on Katie Lou and Caitlin, but I think they're kind of out of sorts now because that's a terrible pick. That's not even a pick. So we'll go in and turnover. That's what you get with Christie Sides. They have to fight against what their own coach is doing. And then, of course, later in the game, you got this. I think this is the third quarter after the run. She is not a happy camper. Can't blame her. I kind of like to see that because that's more of the Iowa Caitlin Clark coming back, which is a good thing. It is a good thing for this team. And here's the funny thing too about that Christie Sides overruling on that play, because guess what? 30 seconds later, they got the ball back, and we got this, which I praise Kelsey Mitchell for because this is a fantastically set pick. That was 11. That was like 34 seconds after Christie Side said not to do this and turned the ball over instead. But I'm going to leave it there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Look, I, to be as fair as I can be, I will even put aside the not knowing how to run a good offense and not having good defensive system and all of that and say, if I had to pick one thing that really, really irritates me that I just no head coach should be doing, and that's constantly, even sometimes passively aggressively, throwing your own team under the bus all of the time, never taking responsibility for anything that goes wrong in a game. And that is unacceptable. That is unacceptable. And that's the type of thing that probably will not change. Like, that is who she is. You can maybe start getting better offensive play calls, better systems, and that sort of thing. I mean, I'm not seeing it, but you could. But this pathological need to throw the team under the bus, I don't see how that ever changes. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for checking out this video. I really do appreciate it. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I think we passed 4,800. We're slowly creeping to 5,000. As someone else said in the comments, they can't believe we don't even have 5,000 subscribers yet because the content's just that good. And I didn't pay them to say that. It's amazing. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, and I will talk to you later.